us to be within the body of Christ. Now I pray a special prayer for each person within the sound of my voice. May they get what they need from you and not from me. Decrease me and increase you. Give me the words to speak to touch each and every one exactly where they are. Bless them right now. And bless me as well. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Well, it's preaching time, huh?
Yes.
We're going to be walking in Mark 5 for a minute. We're going to start in Mark 5, and I think maybe for the whole month of October, we're going to stay in Mark 5 for a minute, because there's so much to this miracle that one time is just not enough to cover everything. And I could try, though. I could try to cover it all, but then you guys would ask me to stop, right?
Amen.
Man, my jokes are off today.
That's okay.
It's okay, you can laugh in church. It's okay, it's okay. So we're going to start in Mark 5:1. I'm going to read it one more time because that's what preachers do, right? 5:2. And when he had come out of the boat, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tombs. And no one could bind him, not even chains, because he had often been bound with shackles and chains, and the chains had pulled apart by him, and the shackles broken in pieces. Neither could anyone tame him, and always, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying out and cutting himself with stone. Tonight, we're going to talk about Jesus meets the man in the tomb. Jesus meets the man in the tomb. We're going to start not with Jesus, because Jesus is the focal point of 5. But in order to really get this miracle, in order to really feel what had to have happened in order for Jesus to do this amazing thing, we first must start with the man and the community in which the man was a part of. Before we start with Jesus, before we get to that, we'll probably get to that a little bit later, I want to start with the man. What do we know about the man? And what do we know about the community in which the man was a part of? This man was a crazy man. This man was possessed by demons, which forced him to act crazy. The man acted out in such a crazy way that he broke chains and shackles. I want you to really get this. The man was so crazy that they tried to bound him, and he broke chains and shackles. But that speaks to the community. The community in which he was a part of loved him so much that they didn't want to see him cutting himself. They didn't want to see him hurting himself. They didn't want to see him doing horrible things to himself. So what did they do? They tried to shackle him. They tried to bind him up. They tried to hold on to him so that he wouldn't what?
Hurt him.
So he wouldn't hurt himself. That's a community of love. See, how do we know we love this man? Because if they didn't love him, then they would have what? Let him be in. If they didn't love him, they would have just let him go on off and cut himself and be like, oh, that man's crazy. But we know that they tried and they tried and they tried. Time after time to shackle him for his own good. And time after time after time, what happened? He broke it. He broke the shackles. He broke the chains. This is a community of love that this man is a part of that he could not participate in. Why could he not participate in it? Because he was driven by demons. Let's talk about the community. You see, the community loved him so much that they tried to everything they could to keep him from harming himself. But when it didn't work, what was left for them? What could they do? After they tried to bind him, after they tried to shackle him, what could they do then for the man? Nothing but wait to die. Let me go back. There are some people in my life. I love them. There was one person in particular in my life. I loved him very much. He was addicted to alcohol. He was what we would consider an alcoholic. From the time we were teens up until now, he's an alcoholic. Now, I've worked in drug facilities, right? I've held beds open for him. I've driven him to detox facilities. I've driven him to hospitals. I've given him money. I've done all of this stuff. But still, he's what? Still an alcoholic. I mean, I've done all of this stuff for him. I want you to really get this. I mean, from time, at least 20 years now, I've driven him from this place to that place. I've got him from detox facilities. I've picked him up to detox facilities. I've done all of this stuff. I've found places for him to live when he was on the street. I went and got him from when he was on the street. I let him live with me for a little bit of time. But even still, he was what? He was still an alcoholic. No matter how much I loved him, my love was not able to what? So now, all I can do is wait for the man to die. Wait, let me say that again. I've done all that I can do. I've done all that I can do. And now, all I can do is get my black suit ready for the day I get a phone call that I'm going to his funeral. Anyone got someone like that? Anyone got someone like that that no matter how hard you try, there's nothing you seem to be able to do. So now all you can do is wait for him to die. You see, I put him in a graveyard. In my mind and in my heart, I put him in a graveyard. He's already dead. And I'm waiting for him to catch up with what I see in my mind. I want you to really get this. I want you to really feel what I'm saying. Jesus didn't meet this man in town. Jesus met this man where?
In a graveyard.
In a graveyard. That means the town had already done all they could for him, and now they're what? Waiting for him to die. I mean, heck, if he's cutting himself like that, right? I mean, if he's screaming like that, right? It's only a matter of time before what? What else can we do for him? I want you to really feel how big of a blessing how big of, people don't really talk about this miracle. They talk about water into wine, right? They talk about raising the dead, right? But they don't really talk about this one. But this one is devastating. Because God met this man in a graveyard, but he was still alive. But he was dead, but he was still alive. He had been dead for a long time, but he was still alive. He was the walking dead. We were waiting for him to die. That's the condition and the state that Jesus meets him in. That's the condition and the state in which Jesus meets this man. This crazy man. This man possessed by demons. We meet him in a graveyard after everybody has written him off for dead. Let me pause right there for a moment. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard to let people go ahead and die. It's hard. It's hard to let people go. To let them go. Because we want to keep helping, right? Because we want to keep helping, right? We want to keep driving him to the detox, right? We want to keep picking him up early from the detox, right? We want to keep talking and talking. It's hard to what? Let him go. I just have to wait for what? For him to die.
Okay.
Let him go.
Okay.
But watch this. The man met Jesus and died. He was in a graveyard. And he met Jesus and he died. They put him in a graveyard. They waited for him to die. And he met Jesus and he actually died. But it wasn't the death that they were expecting.
Yeah.
They were expecting him to go ahead and die and have a funeral. But Jesus changed his whole trajectory.
Yes.
The old man that was in the tombs, the old man that was cutting himself, the old man that was howling and screaming, died.
Yes.
And what was left? We don't know. That's why I love it. That's why I love it. We don't even know what the man's name is, so we can research it, because that's what we like to do as scholars, right? We gotta know. We gotta know who this man is, so we can research it and we can know every little bit about this man. We don't know. What do we know? We know that Jesus met the man in the graveyard, and the man died because he changed his whole life. The man that was before he met Jesus and the man that was after he met Jesus were two different people, and the community in which he was a part of looked at him and said, whoa, how did this happen? And what was the reaction? They were afraid. What type of power is a man that can change? We've known this man for years. We've seen him cutting himself for years. We've seen him destroying himself for years. We've seen him hurting himself for years. I personally saw him break the shackles. I personally saw him break the binds. I personally tried to put it on him. And now, what? Now he's sitting here in clothes, talking? Because he died. But why? Imagine if they had not let him go. Imagine if they had just continued to hold on to him and continued to bind him. Then Jesus could have never met him where? In a graveyard.
Yes.
He would have never been able to meet him in the state that he was in, because he would have been bound, and he would have tried this and he would have tried that, and it still would have worked, and he would still be in the same position. But the miracle happened after everybody what? Let go. The miracle happened after everyone let go. Because once you are able to let go, once people stop doing things for you all the time, that's when God can come in and change a life.
Yes.
I'm not saying not to help people. Look at what it says in the Bible. Let's go back. I'm still in the Word. And the chains have been pulled apart and the shackles broken in pieces. Neither could anyone tame him. That means they tried, right? There's some people that you're just not going to be able to help. There's some people that you're just not going to be able to fix. There's some people that you're just not going to be able to change. There's some people that need to be in a graveyard so Jesus can meet him there and effect real, dynamic change.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, now we're going into something a little different, right? Because we're a different type of church. You see the cameras and the lights and all of this and a big banner and stuff. You're like, this guy's over the top. I am. Got a flair for the theatric, right? We're going into a question and answer period, right? So this is a time where you get an opportunity to ask me questions on the sermon that we have. And if I do not know it, you know what will happen? I will say these 3 magic words. I don't know. I know ministers don't usually say that, but if I don't know it, I will say I don't know. But I will know next week when we are in Mark again, because we're going to come back, right? And also we're going to have a Bible study. It's going to be posted, so you should follow us in our Bible study. I think we're going to probably live stream it and all that great stuff. So we have about 15 minutes to go question and answer. Deacon, please give us a timer. Questions on the sermon. What do we got?
I have a question. So, what made you choose that particular topic as your first sermon for your church?
Well, here's the thing. Technically, it was not going to be my first sermon. My first topic that I had was going to be all theological. It was going to be all thick, and I was like, man, I've been researching for like 4 weeks, and I was like all ready. I was like all super juiced up and excited. I've got notes, like I had notes and stuff. I was like, man, I was ready to rock, right? And then one night I woke up, one morning I wake up now at like 4 or 5 in the morning now. This is what I do. I don't want to. I hate mornings, but I just wake up now. I can't sleep. So then I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to do some more sermonic prep. And as I was doing it, I just went into this one. And honestly, I think it's pretty good because, I think it's better.
Why would you choose it at this time?
I would choose the same one, I think. Other questions? I know, it's a little different. Yes, sir.
You think we still have a lot of people like in this country running around like that man full of demons?
Yep. Oh, without a doubt. Here's the thing about that question. If you're no, come have a seat. We're just talking, we're hanging out, just chilling, just relaxing.
Right here.
Come on. Here's the thing about that question, and the sad part about it is most people that are sick don't know they're sick, right? I mean, that's the definition of being sick. If you knew you were sick, then guess what? You'd probably get help, right? I mean, the next sermon, I'm kind of, man, it's like he read my mind, right? Like, this is like a plug for the next sermon. So, The next sermon is talking about the man's relationship to Jesus. And it's tripping me out because that was actually the sermon I was going to do today, but then I realized I hadn't set it up, right? I didn't set it up. So you need to know the man before you know the relationship to the man. But in all honesty, to answer your question, the man was so sick he couldn't ask Jesus for help. That's how sick he was. And that's what we're going to preach on and talk about next week. And, you know, what would be great is if you read it, and then you come back and you already have questions in your mind, right? Ready to hammer me these next questions. But, so yeah, we have a lot of people, but the sad part about it is most people don't even know they're sick. So we have people that need Jesus, but they don't even know they need Jesus. But it's okay. Because they're so sick, Jesus will heal them anyway.
Yep.
Amen.
Jesus will heal them anyway. And if we put them in a graveyard and we allow them to be in a position where they have nothing else to turn to but Jesus and not me as Jesus, right? Because I could play Jesus all day, right? I can just, every time he calls, I can just pick up, right? And I can just go and pick him up in the middle of the night, in the morning, in the afternoon. I can just go pick him up, right? And then, like, I'm doing that. But really, I'm stopping his blessing, right?
Yeah.
So, to answer your question, we have so many people that are sick that don't even know they're sick. And that's the sad part about it. The sad part about it is they're so sick, they don't even know they're sick. And we can't even identify them. It's easy to identify them in our lives, but when you look at them on the outside, they're fine. But in the inside, they're a mess.
I have a question or a comment. I kind of felt like that with our current president right now. I was stressed in the beginning when he first became president. I was like tripping out. But I kind of let it go. And I stopped doing the whole Twitter thing. There's a lot of craziness that's going on, and I realized that he has to get, for me, that's just my opinion, he and certain people like him have to get to a certain point where they see themselves eventually. There's only so much you can say to him, and I know there's a lot of groups and a lot of people that are trying to change him, and they're saying, you know, and he's not going to change. Only he can change himself. And I realized that with him. I realized there was a point with me, myself. You know, when I was young, I was real stubborn. My mom knows I was real stubborn on certain things. And I realized when I got to a point and I remembered the things that she planted in my brain, and then when I hit that rock bottom of my stubbornness, it just enlightened me and I was able to change. And I felt like if I didn't go through those hard knocks, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now, being able to be a part of a church. Amen. You know, if I didn't go through those rough points, but it's, you know, sometimes you gotta let them go. And, you know, it was a point where people just had to let me go. It's like, oh, she's gonna be like that, okay, let her be. And I had to learn, I had to fall. And that's just how it is. Some people are just hard-headed.
Amen.
Any more? Don't be shy.
I have a comment on Joanna's comment about my son.
Here we go.
Oh. Anyone that doesn't know, that's my son. And when he was in college, he decided to go a different way than he was raised. Got in with this unusual group at the college at USC, and no matter what I said, no matter what I did, he was just going to do his thing. Was totally opposite of how he was raised. And I was sitting in church, and I was in church in Phoenix, Arizona, because I was living there at the time, and everybody in my church knew about Aaron. They would, how's your son today? Because I was like always up at the front. Pray for my son. He's out there doing crazy stuff. Pray for my son. Pray for everybody knew about my son. And I was sitting in service one day, and God told me, give him to me. And I actually fought with God about giving him to him. Because I was like, no, because I kind of know what he's doing, and you're going to kill him, and you're not, I can't give him to you. He said it 3 times. Give him to me. And I'm like, no, I got to keep holding on. I got to keep holding on. And he didn't say another word. Next thing I know, I couldn't reach him. He was out of my reach. No matter where I looked for him, no matter how many times I called, he was out of my reach. And by the grace of God, not giving him to him, but God taking him is a product of who he is now. And I am so grateful that God saw fit to not go what I wanted to do, but do what was best for his future. Because I couldn't see his future. I couldn't know what he was going to end up being. I didn't even know his two first names, his middle name were biblical, because I wasn't even saved when I gave birth to him. So he was being set up before I even knew he was being set up. So this sermon hit me hard because I had to live it. So I just wanted to say my comment.
And when mom starts to say, when mom starts with the magic words, "This is my son, and I've got a story."
You're nervous. You're nervous. What you gonna talk about?
We've got like 5 more minutes. Anyone else? Don't be shy.
Testimony, even, you know, just
We can end early. Yes.
yeah.
In light of this sermon, what then is in your opinion, is the perfect response of the community to this widespread sickness that we see, especially in leadership positions? What is the right response for us?
It depends. You see, the difficulty is there's no one size fits all, right? And I want to, and see, the thing is, you want to go like a million feet high, right? But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about personal connection. See, the point is, like, okay, I was in a class, right? And in the class, you know, I went to school for this, right? And in the class, they were talking about how to, you know, go out and make disciples, right? They were talking about all of this, you know, you make flyers, and you do this, and you do that, you do this, you do that. And the one teacher, you know, the teacher, he said, you know what? It's not about that. It's not about flyers, not about any of that. You know? What is it about? It's about personal connection. See, that's why I wanted to focus on the connection between the community and the man first. Because they had a connection with him.